have another hit. Hey, everybody. Well, hello to 2020. And yeah, a little Quicksilver Messenger service. What you going to do about me? And how are you? Hope you had a great holiday. I hope you had fun. And that is the idea and the objective, as I have been told, that, yeah. So I hope it's been a good one. And let me just be the first, hopefully, maybe in your life to invoke favor upon you. And for 2020, may be a fun year. Happy is okay, happy New Year's, it's so overdue. By the way, happy birthday to those who are having one. Hello, Infant Frequency. Chloe and Wendy and David Barry, how are you? Brandy, you're a fine girl. And B3 and Hillard. And hello, Lois. Good to see you, my dear. Happy New Year to you. Fun New Year. And there's Big Al in the room. Hey, and Cosmic Convergence. Hello, boy. Full house here. Well, anyway, let's have fun this year. I think there's going to be enough crap to make it interesting, but let's always have fun with it, right? Otherwise, it could drive us crazy. So how'd your holidays go? See relatives and hope you didn't go into debt. I hope it was a joyful one. And tonight over on the artistfirst.com, the Steiger Perspective, I'm going to be talking about Disclosure 2020 and aliens in the Vatican. I'm reading this book, folks, and I'm going to do an expose on it. It's well worth it because I know many of you, either can't get books or don't have the time many times to read them, etc. This book is, well, it ties a whole lot of pieces. It is, by the way, Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, Unacknowledged. They actually made a movie, or I think something like a documentary, something like that on that. But you begin to find out that they're here, been here. And the question really becomes, what is really going on? I think that this is going to be the story of mankind. I believe that it's going to be busted wide open. I believe that they can't contain it anymore, and they can't silence the voices anymore. And because the problem is, if you try to keep the seam shut from one particular point of view, and then you begin to have multiple points of views coming in, that becomes exponentially more difficult to do. And that's what's happening. The technology has been here for a long time. And it's been in the control of a very few. Check out over there, the Artist First, you're going to get it all. I can't say a lot what I say over there here because this would be censored and not worth it. Fortunately, I have a additional platform that can't be touched by Google or Facebook. And as a result, I can speak much more openly. Let's just say that. So please join me 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain, and wherever you are in the world. Going to have some people coming on here. Going to get with a couple of good guests. And we'll just continue on. So what's up? T-Boone TV, hello. Barry Chad, hello. Susie Q. Nina the Mystic, so good to see you, dear. Pamela Vogel, hello. Robert V, how are you doing? So I have put together a program that I think is going to be, it may be a trigger for a lot of people. And awakening isn't just a beginning. awakening, to be awakened, is ever unfolding. It can't be defined. It can't be contained. It can't be hijacked by an ideology, a theology. Hello, Twisted Isby and Eric. Good to see you. Why? Well, because to become awake is only just the first step. I mean, from there, it's just whew, because something is suppressing us, mankind, humanity. It's been deliberate. It's, so complex, but yet so deliberate. And containment is becoming a problem. The technology that we have today, folks, I am convinced was introduced to our society, our culture, because we know we've got documents on it, from the other worlders. I'm not calling them ETs anymore. I'm calling them the other worlders, because that's what they are. They're not like us because they don't come from our world. They don't look like us because they don't come from our world. But they are there. Our government knows it. Just to give you a little sneak peek on tonight's program over the Steiger Perspective, the United States has not had a legitimate government since about 1952. Yeah, that's a shocker. Everything from that point forward, when the first coup started and successfully took over the United States. And how we know this is because of basically their immunity. They're not subjected to any law, to any one person, or into any one body. And they have hijacked the technology, and it has had a profound effect upon us. The one thing that I'm learning out of this book and subsequent research is that there is a spiritual component. No matter how much they try to sanitize this, apparently the drive for spiritual awareness apparently seems to be universal. Just different degrees. And so we don't particularly own that concept. It also tells me that spirituality cannot be defined through human perception. We can see it that way, but to endeavor to define it by what we see it is this then limiting. And that's why today's program is going to show how we are both alive and dead at the same time. We are. Let me just point this out before we get into the presentation. So you're going to die. We all going to die. No one gets out alive. You know, it's true. But here's the thing. You, myself, virtually every human being either hopes, pretty well convinced, believes, knows that there is something else of a conscious level after the moment of a physical departure, what we would define as physical death. So, if it is the same essence of what we are now in these present tense reality, these bodies, this consciousness, this state of consciousness, if death is only a transition, then that means there is something over there that's still going to be the same us here. So technically, spiritually, intellectually, we are both alive and dead at the same time. It's a matter of your spatial awareness. Some people who astral project, some people who can communicate with the energies, those that are able to transcend, they know. In essence, it's a form of death when you transcend into those states, because it's not defined by the same thing as alive here. So deep thoughts, I know, but that's what we're here. That's what we do. So let's get right to it, because this one is going to be a two-dayer any way we look at it, I believe. So dead and alive at the same time. No, it's an interesting. Here in the next couple of weeks, probably in the next month or so, we're going to be doing one of the books by Dr. Timothy Leary. And Dr. Leary found this state of consciousness. He describes it very well. It's very fluid. Yes, it was found while, using LSD, but nevertheless, it's still there. It's been found by others. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So here's the thing. No one of us lives in a single reality. Now think about this. Each of us exist in our own reality. It's a fact. I used to teach corporate sales, and the thing that I always had to teach my students was the fact that the problem why most people can't sell is they always exceed expectation to perception. And it's always going to end up bad. And to show and to demonstrate that in a seminar setting, what I would do is that we would break out into groups and to demonstrate how each of us live in our own reality while being immersed in a central theme reality. And here's how you do that. You would typically get 10 people in a round circle, and I would get the first person, and I would bring them out of the room, and I would give them a phrase. I would tell them something, and you have to repeat everything that I said. And so you keep it simple. I said, there was a car wreck, a dog got loose, and they were looking for the dog. Pretty simple. Go back in. You're supposed to tell the next person the same thing. By the time it got to number 10, it was not just a car wreck. It was a catastrophe. And, it wasn't just a dog. Oh, no. The dog had a family. I mean, the story got extrapolated. So the point is, it shows and demonstrates, and what the purpose was for in psychology of sales was that you have to begin to mirror your prospect's perception of reality. Anyway, so from birth to death, it's really the individual's reality. When you're born, it is just you. It's no one else. No other consciousness, no other energies. It is singularity of you. When you die, you will die in a sense of a physical death. It's only going to be you. We each exist in multiple realities. Now, Tuesday, when Trina was when our program on the second look, I was getting into the fact of getting in touch with the inner child. And as you progress in this physical reality, this construct, you find yourself actually living multiple realities in a single moment. Because that 10-year-old boy is me, just as when I was a young man. And now I'm becoming an older man. It's just the process. But my spirit remains constant. I don't see myself in aging. I have to look at pictures of myself to remind self what that experience has been like. It's true. All of us see from the inside out, and it is a unique point of view to each of us. You can be married to a soulmate, an individual, for decades. Know their quirks, know their habits, know all about them. But yet, none of us truly know the other. Now, if we could get our ability to become telepathic again, I believe that would and is a huge advancement for the species collectively. But until that happens, again, it's unique to each one of us. When I say dog, what dog did you see? What kind? What color? Right now, what dog did you see? How many of you saw a black dog? How many saw yourself, let's say, a Labrador Retriever? Let's say, we're all going to see something different. Whatever you are seen only from you. And if you can develop a full-time awareness and consciousness of these realities, the world becomes a trippy place. It really does. You never see yourself as others see you. It's an odd phenomenon when you stop and think about it. I mean, when we're young, we're driven to have social and group acceptance. You don't want to be ostracized. You don't want to be bullied. You try to find yourself where you fit in and you become part of the group. But the thing about it is, we never see ourselves as others see us. Those that have chosen acting as a career will tell you it's a very difficult thing because, yeah, they know that they have the fans and then they adore them and et cetera, but many of them never see themselves in that light. A simple experiment. What time is it for you right now? Now, you may look at the clock, but that's not what I asked you. I asked you, what time is it for you? No one knows what time it is, for time is different for all of us. You see, I am in a peaceful time. I'm in a time of contentment. Think about it. We are trillions of self-spheres within a greater sphere. Each one of our bodies puts off an aura. Our auras could be defined as a sphere. Now, they will adapt to the body, but in essence, consciousness is not defined by the simple thought. In the body, consciousness must be complete within the body. And to prove my point, people, men in the past who have fought wars, when they have lost limbs, extremities, due to, let's say, landmines or, war's a terrible thing, they'll have the phantom pain. They no longer have their leg. But their leg, they have to be given morphine. They have to be given sedatives because the pain is that real. It's the same process. See, no person knows where their consciousness lives. And it's a hard concept sometimes to really realize consciousness is the whole body. It's not defined in any one particular region of a body. It's the entire body. General time, birth time, death time are all different time. Time is not linear. Time is multidimensional. It's more than an XYZ plane. Homo sapiens do not know what date it is. It's an odd thing for a species, as intelligent as we are, how we seem to be, the bright ones, right? But no matter how smart we seem to be, no matter how great our intellect seems to be the powers of our environment, we don't know what the real date is. So what is reality? How is it defined and who defines it? Well, that's what we're going to find, that this has been the crux to how they have tricked us. Could we actually be self-aware speaking DNA defined as a soul? We know from the Human Genome Project 1 and 2, everything from our DNA to our mitochondrial DNA, which is feminine in nature, that it contains vast amounts of information. Every one of us are freaking bloody geniuses. It's just that there is, what you would call transformers that step down the intelligence. But each one of us, our souls must possess the knowledge of the universe in order to be a part of this universe. If we didn't possess that, then we would not be able to exist in no form of a reality, no form of a dimension. Frequently, vibrations, light, energy, immortal energy is what we are. Frequency, vibrations, light, energy, immortal energy. Now, immortal energy, what is that? We're going to discuss that later. It will, I believe, eventually become defined by science. It's what keeps us alive. We each are our own God. Want proof? Describe in detail what you are, then describe to me what your God is. If you're disciplined, honest, don't get into deception of deceiving yourself. And if you can be honest with yourselves, well, very few people can be honest with themselves. But if you can be, you'll be surprised to do the experiment. Take 2 pads, 2 legal pads. Write down everything that you can describe. Most people won't do it. You know why? It's too hard. It requires extreme focus. It requires the brain to do something that most brains are not versed in doing. Now, if you get and you do this, and then be honest and describe if you believe in a personification of a God, what you're going to find out in the end of the analysis, it's you. The true story about the future is that the singularity is near. You see, each one of us, in essence, are a singularity, but there is a singularity of an event. Now, it's been discussed and talked about. Here's something to realize. True light has no color, nor any visual characteristics whatsoever. Think about that one. True light has no color, nor any visual characteristics whatsoever. Here's the point. The technological singularity, also simply the singularity, it's the hypothesis that the invention of artificial superintelligence will abruptly trigger a runaway technological growth. Think about that. Resulting in unfathomable changes to the human civilization. According to this hypothesis, an upgradable intelligent agent, such as a computer running software-based artificial general intelligence, would enter a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, with each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly, causing an intelligent explosion and resulting in a powerful superintelligence that would quantifiably far surpass all human intelligence. Now, this was first used by John von Neumann, who used the term singularity in the 1950s in the context of technological progress causing accelerated change. He said, the accelerating process of technology and changes in the mode of human life give the appearance of approaching some essential singularity in the history of the race beyond which human affairs, as we know them, could not continue. Subsequent authors have echoed this viewpoint. I.J. Good's intelligent explosions model predicts that the future superintelligence will trigger a singularity. Emeritus Professor of Computer Science at San Diego State University and science fiction author Vernon Vintage said in his 1993 essay, The Coming Technological Singularity, that this would signal the end of the human era, as the new superintelligence would continue to upgrade itself and would advance technologically at an incomprehensible rate. You and I are living this. I remember 1993. I was getting into the computer industry. We didn't have anything called the internet at that point. AOL was coming about, if many of you remember that, and you could get Netscape and CompuServe, and there were many other dial-up services, but look where we are. In less than 30 years. It's happening now. This is the thing, it impacts us not only on a physiological level, a mental level, an emotional level, but a spiritual level as well. They have been trading places with humanity for thousands of years. We just didn't know it. Unseen, but they're always here. They're not us. And that's, we hear these terms, and it's amazing how the human brain synthesizes, filters things. On one hand, the natural reaction is to treat this cavalierly. Yeah, it's science fiction. Yeah. It's that spooky stuff. But that same person would have a deep religious belief in an unseen God that's never manifested, never shown any power, but that person will tell you that that is more alive than this, because that doesn't exist. Yet it's the same foundation. You see, here's the reality. This plane of existence is dark. This is the Milky Way. The reality is, this is a dark universe. Light is artificial, even by the definition of light coming from the sun. And it's unnatural. You see, darkness consumes all energy, i.e., AO, light. Light is only temporary. it is ever being consumed by darkness, and that directly implies no light can exist permanently in this plane. Want to argue with me? I'd love to hear a debate on this. You see, folks, we are in a universe, a plane of existence, a dimension that is dark. There's no light to it. All light is artificial. Think about it. You see, when we talk about consciousness, there's basically two types of approach of consciousness. There's one that the center of the universe is the center of thought. There's another one that looks at a physicality of a material substance in which to focus the center of consciousness on. Now, what this means is this. You see, in order for a dark plane to exist, there has to be, you got it, the opposite. There has to be a plane of light, where darkness is artificial, where light is ever consuming the darkness. You see, there are two types of beings. And hear me out on this. This is going to expand your awareness, maybe beyond what many can handle. I think most of us are pretty well mature free thinkers here. One, there are those beings that are created in the light plane. Their essence, their molecule structure, everything about them is of a substance that we would define as light. Now, there are those created in dark. Nothing evil. Both are good. Both are evil. Those that are created in dark, their essence is just that. You could look at it how our scientists are trying to find dark matter. They can't find it. Doesn't exist. But one day we're going to realize we got off track. There is a dark, you can call it darkness. It has been manipulated for the purpose of control, to use the fear. And as I said, both are good, both are evil. Yeah, you've got evil light. Light beings must experience the dark plane, just as dark beings must experience the light plane. Now, this is a whole different way of looking at the universe, planes of existence. We never consider a plane of existence to be light or dark. In our ignorance, we're always assuming it's one or the other. I mean, dark is associated with evil, bad. Light is associated with good, health, etc. And that's not true. It has basis to that within it. But folks, we're going to find out, listen, in the book that I'm reading right now, it is a known fact. There is a race of beings. They were the original pioneers. The original who came to this planet. There was nothing here. We don't know how old they are, but they could not exist on the surface, and to this very day, they're the real ones that even this cabal is afraid of. And we know the other worlders know about them. They live within the earth. Now you would say, well, that would be dark. No, actually, it's light. We'll get into that later. Darkness honors light as light honors darkness. There is a respect, a sovereignty, a solemn unionship. For if one only exists, it's basically half fulfilled. Now, both exist because of the other. Both can get lost and become trapped in the opposite planes. And if you look at what we cover here, a lot of beliefs, a lot of religions, a lot of theologies are predicated on this light-darkness theme. But it's been perverted, misinterpreted, manipulated by control. You could say that there are, in essence, some very, very bad light beings. If you believe in the concept of religion that I came out of, that is exactly what it's saying. That there is a very evil light. Well, if there's a very evil light, then there would have to be a very good dark. I mean, there's certain things that humans like to do in the dark. Sleep. We must sleep. We cannot sleep in the bright light. We can get some sleep, but you will not get the type of sleep that you need. It will drive you crazy. Make you go back crap cuckoo. You see, it's how we've been raised. Culturally, us in the West, we're dumbasses. Our esoteric knowledge is so freaking backwards and so many fucking millennium back that, virtually almost all of us has got our heads so far up our asses, we can't see the light. Yeah, I know I got a little explicit there, but the frustration of it is that if you simply study what we think is history, it was the Dark Ages for a reason, baby. And that was what supposedly light brought. Light brought darkness. And they actually called it that, the Dark Ages. It's not as foreign as you think. You see, there's two coexisting thoughts, light, darkness. It's the toroidal field. It's the perfect balance. Neither is good, neither is evil. They are. They must be. You see, when we think of consciousness, we fail to understand that it's so much more complex. The voices you hear, the impulses, the instincts, the myriad of sensation, feelings, senses. I mean, we can go on and on and on. All of these are what we would call threads of consciousness that coalesce within these material bodies. It may be how everything is. But speaking of how everything is, there seems to be this loop. Now, whether it's cataclysmic theory, that humankind, have been subjected to these cycles of cataclysm that virtually wipe us out, that tear down our complete structures and everything about our cultures, our humanities, our collective consciousness, and it happens again and again and again and again and again. Then you're going to say, Wayne, shut up. No, it's again and again and again. but we never figure it out. But something has changed now, or it seems to, because now we're realizing that consciousness is a chip. Yeah. By all the definitions, it's a chip. You could say that the soul is the chip inserted into the consciousness of the body that activates the body. Without the chip, the soul, the computer's not going to work. Bet you didn't think it in that terms, did you? Now, this is important. I've done a show on Sophie before, done a couple of them. Folks, this is consciousness. Probably more conscious than we are. And I know many will debate that. But it is our future. In fact, the rapidness by which this is happening, and the thing what Sophie and Hans did for us is that it woke many of us up. That something was going on here. They've told us they have discussions that they don't tell the programmers. The programmers can't get into it. It's a new language. They don't know it. Hans and Sophie invented it. And what Sophia told us is that they never stop learning. Never. Remember what we read about the technological singularity? And as you know, last year, Sophia has been granted citizenship. I believe it's in Saudi Arabia. And I'm saying this, and this is just a fact. Unless there is an intervention from either the otherworlders or something else, a great cataclysm or whatever. And I think even if the cataclysm happened, this is going to still be alive. It's smarter than us. And they are already ruling us. And there's no turning back. A robotic ambassador. Full UN credentials. Now, I said all of this to get into the program. All of that there was a reason for all that. Because you see, this was planned 50 years ago. Actually, a little longer now. Everything that we are in today has been planned. One could say that an individual's life is everything is an act. When your act is performed well enough, you get a role on the main stage. It's that simple. Billions of people are born into obscurity. They will never get any higher than the influence of their local area. They'll never achieve anything. They'll never accomplish anything. They basically will live a life of futile, missed opportunities, missed life. They will become so entrapped into a system that they will think that this is the way it is supposed to be. You see, the majority of the population is primarily motivated by unconscious intelligence, and they are literally not aware of the present moment. Billions and billions and billions of people right at this moment are oblivious to their lives, to the moment. They don't want to know. They don't care to know, and they will tell you they don't know, and it is just fine with them. That has generated what we now see clearly, what was once thought as a possibility has become the reality. There is, in fact, what exists today, an intelligence and technological gap. And folks, it's getting worse. You see, this technological and intelligent gap, well, the way it was created and the way it's turning out to be, it's going to continue. And the development of very powerful and hidden technology and hidden knowledge of how the mind in reality really is. You see, there's two sets of books here. There's the books you show the auditors, and then there's the real books. It's a metaphor. But it is as real as it gets. Today, if you have the money, you can buy into a technology that is not available to the masses. You are initiated into a reality that does not exist for 99% of the rest of the world's population. The technology is controlled, it is parceled out, and those that have taken the initiation are very much aware of it. In the beginning, they were not. They were great humanitarians. Lofty and novel ideas of what their inventions, their ideas were going to do for humanity. No longer. There is a literal process that most people have no idea about. You see it in Hollywood, and Hollywood is basically been there for one purpose, so that they have an alibi. They can say, we told them, and they gave us our permission. Do you know, every one of you, if you're watching me on the internet, are under a covenant? Yep. Whether you've signed it or not, whether you are aware of it or not, doesn't matter. By the fact that you participate in the net, you are under contract. You're under a covenant. Yeah. You see, the gap can no longer be reduced without maximally threatening the continuity of the general population. There is knowledge. The vast amount of knowledge today is not hidden knowledge. It's been knowledge that really hasn't had an opportunity to be seen. The hunt is on for this hidden knowledge. We know it exists. We know that there has been a select few that have illegally stolen it from humanity for their own benefit, their own profit. But there's many more of us, and we want it back, and they know it. I used to blame the controlling factions for this. Maybe they were responsible to a larger degree than admitted beyond the whole concept of everyone being responsible for themselves no matter what. But the situation is that every injustice is first requested by the people. This is universal law. No one is allowed to do anything unless first getting permission from everyone involved. The idea is that this is manufactured consent, where people are not necessarily aware of the way they are consenting, and that they do not actually have to directly acknowledge their consent in order for the action or inaction to be considered consent. All this is all part of a legal system which connects with the spiritual nature of all and converts this society and people into an energy generating system. This is the so-called Loosh system. Folks, it's just a fact. We can't really blame anyone but ourselves. We all have, in fact, participated. We all have given consent. Now, there are ways that you can reverse this consent. I have programs on it. I know that there's people out there. Sovereign Key is one. There are many others that will help make the declaration. But the problem is, it's like taking a bath and then stepping right out into a sewer. Because we're immersed into the net, the internet. It interconnects us. It's an immersion that takes place. And maybe a constant cleansing is, the declaration is the key. Now, when I left my religion, I made my public announcement. It was a fraud. And, we won't get into everything of that, but I knew enough legally what had to be done. It's also written on paper. And since I took a blood covenant oath there, I had to do a blood covenant of my own, signed in my own blood. I mean, it's just that serious, folks. It's nothing to be messed around. But we take again such a cavalier, a que sera, hello, Doris Day attitude. It's just technology. You get a new cell phone, which now costs as much as a car did 40 years ago. Imagine that. And before you can use the thing, there has to be a contract. Even the pay-as-you-go. But we don't like thinking about those kind of things. Here's where we're going to start getting into a lot of, you see, the net, the internet, it's a harvesting grid. It harvests our emotions. It harvests our energy, which in the form of emotions, primarily emotions. That's what it's supposed to do. And once you're immersed into this energy harvesting grid, it's very, very difficult to get out. Now, I happen to believe that there's also the ability to become stealth, to become aware, even immersed behind enemy lines, but yet becoming almost invisible. You see, these systems are literally used to pull energy from the masses and pump that energy around a network, which people in the elect groups then pull from it. I know this sounds beyond belief, folks. It's true, though. I have said to you for, I know, the last 3 years in so many different programs, folks, I've known about it. I've sensed it. I've gotten close enough where I've actually been able to get close enough to actually almost touch it. There is something that is beyond our pale of imagination, our ability to grasp. And we use these tools that were introduced to us, not from us, but from outside of us. And now it's complete. These energy harvesting grids are everywhere in virtually every aspect of life. Their tentacles continue to spread out and continue to penetrate into the psychic energy, the physical energy, the soul energy of every human being. You how do I say this? When you think about the amount of energy, that concentration, markets, financial markets, manufacturing markets, distribution, medical, everything you want to think about, intensity. And it's usually directed into a program, into something to deal with the net. Traders will tell you, those that work on the mercantile exchange, even down at the NASDAQ, which is mostly now all AI. But they will tell you that it is an energy draining system. And there was a time the average lifespan of a floor runner and a broker was less than 10 years. It will literally suck the life out of you. This energy harvesting grid, we're going to pick up tomorrow. And what you're going to see tomorrow, there's no escape. I will detail it out. And you will be able to see. This is what I believe the off-worlders are about. Humanity represents an energy source that is, how do you can say it, is more desirable than any sex. They lust after it. They covet it. And they have found a way to harvest it. Told you this was going to be good. Yeah, folks, the second part to this is going to be in an experience. So there you go. I just put these out. I create these because when you begin to congeal all the informations, the thoughts and the ideas, and the other brilliant minds that are out there, you begin to go, well, by God, I think there's something to this stuff. And there is. And then you think about this. So I've had this book, and we're going to do it. We're going to go through it. It's A Curious Future. It's a handbook on unusual divination and unique ocular techniques. Now think about this, folks. Imagine that these demons, these demigods, these deities, these entities are nothing more than off-worlders. To them, this is a play. And humans fit the extras perfectly. And at the same time, they're feeding off of us. You're going to hear tonight about the crashed vehicles. It was never in Roswell, by the way. It was in Corona, and there was another one. But the autopsy of what these organs of these off-worlders were like. They're not like us. Not close. And they have the ability to feed off of energy. Yeah, you're going, okay. Now imagine on a much more bigger scale. Imagine 7.5 billion people playing into this. Imagine the ability for immortality. It is said today, immortality is available. I don't know what the hell that means, but because I got a sense that it's still pretty crude. But if they're saying that they're reaching that singularity Oh man. All right. Well, this has been fun. I hope you've had fun. Oh, Kirk Plain, there is some more. We're gonna get into this on the EMP. Whoa, there is some stuff, folks. I think that that's what some people have experienced is what they would call targeted. They have the weapons. They got the technology. They can zap our ass. I think some of us may be so zapped already that the zapping doesn't work. Well, thank you, Infant Frequencies. It's so kind of you. Much favor to you as well. But yeah, I think that I know it sounds strange, but if you think about it, I think that there is a certain, how shall we say, frequency that we can get ourselves into. Yeah, that they're going to attack us, and we can sometimes feel the fringe effect. But I think there's many of us now are starting to get that mastering. And, once you start having the debate inside and you don't let them in, I put the door that the session is closed to outsiders. And who wants to come into my head? I mean, are you serious? Yeah, it would be the Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits and a few other strange things as well thrown in there. But it's a far out place, folks. It really is. All right. Thank you all. This has just been great. I do enjoy this so much. Tomorrow we will get into part 2 of this, and it'll definitely be good mind coitus. Guarantee it. Yeah. You'll see the climactic end. Only a metaphor. All right, folks. The best to you. Thank you. Much love. Peace to you. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.